This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter with a special episode of ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And check out our live event at Facebook.com/Shocktober in Irvington, which we just had our 5th Shocktober last night, and it was a blast. And
it was fun.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Need better chairs.
I know.
Thank you for calling my ticket number and letting me win that Eddie Kaspbrak.
Yeah, and you got
figure.
Yeah.
I got the one that I wanted.
That's so awesome.
Which it was like it was the last two left that I got.
What was the other one you got?
It was Michael Myers. I gave it to my mom to give to my cousin Hayden because he's a huge Michael Myers fan. And I know that I've told you before I don't really care about the movies. So
right.
He's a huge Michael Myers fan.
Nice.
So.
Nice and not at all terrifying.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. All right, but we're not here to talk about Shocktober.
Or my cousin.
Or your
the budding psychopath that he may be. Just kidding.
Right.
Just kidding.
Okay, so this episode is a special, our first in what's going to be hopefully a few Heartland Film Festival episodes. As you already heard, I have returning guest, Kyrsten Leister. I don't know why I hesitated. Like, yeah. You talk now. Say your information.
I'm, Kyrsten Leister.
Nice.
I'm on Twitter at burger_lurker. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah.
All right, great. So like I said, this is the first in hopefully a few podcasts about Heartland, which Heartland Film Festival, this is their 27th year. This is the Obsessive Viewers. Technically, only it's me. Our third year actually covering it, because last year we didn't really do anything because it just Shocktober stuff and everything. But we're back to do more, Heartland coverage. Like I said, this is their 27th year and they are they've grown so much just in the last few years that I've been covering it. It's really remarkable. And for the first time this year, we got press passes for Kyrsten.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. And, basically that's just showing that Kyrsten is willing to spend more time with
which I'm deeply regretting at this moment.
I know, right?
But this was actually the first time I've even gone to Heartland. Mm-hmm. I've lived in Indianapolis my entire life. Yeah. And I knew of it. I was aware of it, but I never have gone. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a blast and it's really,
it's what we do normally, which is see movies.
Yes.
So.
And,
I just get to see them for free.
Yeah, exactly. And,
it stinks like poop in here now.
It does.
She just pooped.
Oh, God. For our listeners, the cat just pooped. Little pizza roll.
It was a good one.
It was. And I have the candle, the wax warmer going and everything. So that should drown it out.
Overpowering.
It is.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, yeah, you did. So this, it's fun for me to have you be involved with it as well with the coverage because me and Tiny would go to Heartland and we would Tiny would only be able to see a couple movies here and there. So it's always been kind of solo thing for me. It's fun to have.
Yeah, you're a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What now?
Lone wolf.
A lone wolf. I am a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's nice to,
have a pack.
Have a pack. Yes. We are like a wolf pack.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So, this recording is basically the first, like I said, for the third time now, the first in what's hoping to be a few, episodes we're going to release for, Heartland. Basically this episode is all about the press junkets that I did the first weekend. So the kind of the idea surrounding this episode is that I want to put out the interviews that I did as quickly as possible. So this should be going up. You should be listening to this on Monday, the 15th of October. So this will give you a good idea of a selection of movies that are playing at Heartland, excuse me, at Heartland that you can see yourself. So, okay, so before we go into the actual recordings and everything that I have, because I've got several interviews that I have from the first weekend, I just want to talk to you, Kyrsten, about the experience of Heartland Film Festival and like how you feel about this. Was your first day.
Yeah.
First day at any kind of film festival. How'd you feel about the, atmosphere, I guess?
It was fun. It was good. It's a little different being surrounded by people who are not just there to see a movie,
Yeah, everyone's like so much more social.
Yeah. The woman who sat next to us was talking to us before the movie, and the people who all the volunteers were incredibly nice.
Oh yeah,
very helpful. Yeah, it's obviously it's got a big community built around it. You can tell. There are people there who are not connected to any films or anything, who are just there to support the festival, which I think is really cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that they're reaching like a real audience.
Oh yeah, and like we, at my behest, we took a picture in front of the Heartland backdrop, and like there was a line like forming for one of the showings and everything, and it was just like, oh crap, are we gonna? Yeah,
it's like, oh no, now the moment of dread where we have to ask someone to take our picture. And this woman just turned around and was like, give it here, I got it.
Exactly.
It's like, thank you, Pauline. You are a sweetheart.
Exactly. It would have just been better if Travis was there with his biker gang.
Oh, I miss him. I hope he's doing okay.
Oh, me too. Him and Pamela. Or Patricia. Anyway.
Oh, yeah,
Inside joke has nothing to do with anything.
You guys won't get this.
Yeah, no. But
love inside jokes. We'll do a part one someday.
So are you excited for more of Heartland?
I am. Yeah. It's I know I told you, regrettably the timing isn't great for me because I have a show that's opening in a couple weeks.
Yes.
So a lot of my time is going to be dedicated to that. But I hope to be there as much as
Oh my god. Okay, we're good.
Is it? Oh.
Wow, I didn't even
knocked
know
over
she was doing that.
She's been playing with that for several minutes now.
Has she really?
Yeah. I was like, that's just pizza.
God.
Yeah. But I hope to be as involved as I can. There's several movies that I think look really good. So.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, I'm super happy that you're excited about it because it gives me someone to tell my stupid jokes to. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring us into the first series of recordings that we have. With various filmmakers from various films at the festival. So enjoy these recordings that were done on October 12th at Heartland. All right.
Rocking the Tascam.
Oh yeah. Yep. Only with one microphone. I was dumb and only brought one, so we'll have to share.
All right. That's okay. I'll pass it back.
All right.
Good.
Sounds good. All right. So you're Adam Lipsius.
I deny that.
Okay. Fair. And your film...
I'm fixing my jacket. This is
right.
I'm fixing my jacket. That's a sad reflection of our society.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Coffee, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm right there with you, so...
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Head wired with beer, but no coffee.
Right? It's a little too early for beer.
Yeah.
Just a little too early, so... Yeah. All right. Well, your film Amy and Sophia is playing here at the Heartland Film Festival.
That's true.
And can you speak about it? One thing that kind of stood out to me, like when I saw the trailer and when I was doing my research and everything, is the use of art throughout it. Can you speak to how the film incorporates watercolor art and all that?
Wow. All right, here I'll hold it. That way you can't ask me any more questions because I've now got the microphone. How did we incorporate the art? I mean, technically, it was a huge hurdle. We discovered this brilliant watercolor artist, animator out of Portland, but he was a Russian guy originally from Sevastopol. So you don't want to talk about Ukrainian politics with this guy. But in every other respect, he was this beautiful human being who was, just oozed empathy and understanding. And it was hours and hours on a daily basis just working through, inventing a process to do this. It really hadn't been done the way we'd done it before. He uses sort of a wet brush, quick photography technique, and on the wonky technical side, there were all kinds of hurdles. But on the artistic side, it felt important to give voice and vision to this artistic alternative in one of our main characters' heads. She had a syndrome which is, becoming more widely accepted and understood, called fantasy-prone personality disorder, where individuals, and this I think is like an increasingly common phenomenon, really divest from the actual world for hurt or injury and retreat into this daydream. Doesn't go far enough, but daydream alternative of their own making. And I don't know that that's the extent of what happens in the film, but it was at least a jumping off point to explore Sophia's personality, problems, and potential. Because interestingly enough, I feel like one of the more damaged characters in the story wound up being one of the strongest. And so the art was a way to express that inner strength as well. How was that? On no coffee?
Oh, perfect.
Okay, all right. Then I'm going to give you your microphone back.
All right. So I read that there was a lot of obstacles in the way of creating this film and filming it, and there were a lot of different things that popped up. Can you speak to what I imagine is you and your crews?
Where did you read that?
The website. Yeah.
My wife must have written that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's fair. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm one of her bigger obstacles, so she felt like it was only fair to do.
Well, there you go.
Look at that website.
Yeah.
You're gonna give me the domain name after the interview.
Oh, definitely. So how do you, as a filmmaker, how do you, like, you and your crew, how do you overcome those things, or how do you not think oh, this is going really difficultly. How do you persevere through those struggles and end up with a finished product that's great?
Wow. Obstinately. You have to really sort of ignore everything but your objective. So, I mean, I like to joke that it rained every day we shot, except for the days it poured. And it was funny. The production was resource challenged, right? Which was an opportunity to innovate. I mean, that's all garbage, right? We had no money. Stuff that was supposed to be there wasn't there, or was so Mickey Mouse it wouldn't work. I remember, day 2, we didn't have a location for day 3, and so the producer went on Airbnb and found a place. And then when the woman whose house we were going to shoot in found out we were shooting a movie, she was so excited, she scheduled these workmen to come and replace her windows. Oh, wow. So the living room opens out on this huge road that's people are racing back and forth, and we can't shoot because these guys are literally installing, and it's 4 hours down. And then the first thing we did when we went into that room was we closed the blinds because we want to see the road. Yeah. It was nutty, bad, terrible producing. Honestly, I think the only thing that kept everybody going, The story felt important. The script was present and impactful and important, and it resonated with everybody on the crew and in the cast so deeply. The performances and the work was great. Mm-hmm. It was just everything around it was this nightmare. But I think that kept everybody going. I know it kept me going. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and so you spoke about the subject matter of the movie. It has a lot to do with surviving sexual assault and violence against women and everything. And it is a very important topic and a very important subject that's even more important in our current world today. How do you feel about creating something that is conveying a message to that what is the message of the movie, and how do you feel about conveying that into the world we live in?
What is the message of the movie? I mean, it's funny. So we shot this film in 2016. Okay. So there was no Me Too movement. There was no. I mean, Harvey Weinstein was just the most powerful man on the planet. Right. He was not yet a labeled predator. Right. And I think our message, though, there's a clear storyline about sexual abuse and predation on a moving and raw level. I think the message of the film is less about victimization and more about claiming your own narrative, constructing an identity perhaps strengthened from the adversity you've suffered. I don't want to imply that we short shrifted it by any means. I think this film, through the animation, through the performances, this was the first film from one of our leads, Ali Rodney, and she just breaks your heart on every frame. I mean, I think she so powerful and so moving. I feel like the film is really, God, I don't want to say it's triumph over tragedy, right? Because that's such a trope of interviews, and you deserve better from me. But we don't wallow for wallowing's sake. This film goes to dark places, but it does come out the other side. I hope. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, well, that whole message of seeking strength in your most darkest feelings and your darkest histories, essentially, is something that I'm sure is something that resonates with so many people, and I'm sure it's something that I have friends who have had abuse in their past and everything, and I'm sure that they would really appreciate the kind of message that's being conveyed in this movie. And what I noticed specifically, it's featured in the trailer, the use of watercolors for there's one shot that just from the trailer, it just really impacted me. It was the shot where it's the watercolor of the assault, and it's just seeing it in that context, in that medium, essentially, is so heartbreaking, just in that short snippet. So it's just something that I respect as a film goer, as a fan of film, that it's something that seems like you didn't shy away from that or do anything that would be kind of like you said, like a tropey kind of thing. It's just a very raw, very real thing, and a very unique style of film, and that's something that's I think will resonate a lot with a lot of people seeing the movie. So I don't really have a question for that. Just well done with that. That's good.
All right, now I'm stealing the microphone. I mean, there are certain things you'll do anything to get a shot, except there's a lot of things you won't do to get a shot, right? You don't want to put people in harm's way. You don't want, so thank you for that, because walking that line was a very fine one, and it took time and tears and everything else. Yeah. But I got to say, the response from the survivors community. We've had a number of screenings. We're working with an organization in Denver on putting together fundraiser screening for them using the film, that we would donate the result. But the response from victims of all forms of sexual abuse has been remarkable. I mean, at the end of screenings, honestly, it takes like 30 or 40 minutes with a lot of hugs and a lot of tears to get through it, because people really feel like their story was respected. And I've got to give Emma Rain Walker some credit. She plays Sophia. She wrote the script, and she brought an empathy to this story that was so powerful that I, on first reading it, I don't know that I understood everything in the script. Right? You have to dig deep to discover. But I really, I knew there was something there that I'd be better for having gone through. That this process would actually, I don't know, would teach me a thing or two, and it really has. Yeah. So, and no, great answer to a no question, but yeah, but thank you for saying that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's something that I think that this movie is a powerful testament to, I don't want to say victims, but survivors of sexual abuse and everything. And it's something it's something that I feel like, from the sound of it, could be very empowering for people who feel deep down that they don't have any power or anything. So it's a really remarkable film, really remarkable thing that you did with it. So to kind of switch gears, can you tell me about your history? It's kind of hard to transition from that. Your experience with Heartland itself. This is the 27th year, and real quickly, I think we might be running a little bit low on time. But your experience with Heartland and how. Yeah. Oh no.
You got this. You're like mission accomplished.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So is this your first year at Heartland, or have you had any experience with Heartland, and how's the experience been?
Yeah, so this is my first Heartland, though I did actually submit a film here maybe like 7 years ago. Totally didn't get in. Okay. So when this one got in, I was like, wow, like I got into Heartland. That's amazing. And it's been fantastic. It's sort of like a nurturing, soft hug. Yeah, so it's like warm and enveloping. I'll leave the hug analogy behind any second now, but yeah, you show up in a place you've never been, Indianapolis. You're like, there's no baseball team, but there's football. But I'm not going to get to go see a football game, so I don't know what that means. But everybody, as soon as you get off the plane, really just they're so excited. Like this is a movie town, and I think Heartland is one of the reasons why.
Oh yeah, it's one of those, like, this city itself. Like I've grew up here, and like I've been a lifelong film fan, and it's amazing because people don't think like, oh, Indianapolis, that's just cornfields and Colts. It's not like anything that's like really. I feel like there's kind of a misconception that there's not like a strong film kind of centric thing in the city or in Indiana, and part of that's just because we don't have tax breaks to film in Indiana. But with Heartland and other film events around the city, it's like I feel like Heartland itself is really growing Indianapolis into a very strong, like, kind of filmmaker friendly and film centric epicenter, I guess, for places. Like we're not LA, but we're growing quite a bit, and that's something that I really like about it. So yeah, yeah, and so Amy and Sophia is going to be playing throughout the festival. I'm going to hopefully get this interview up early next week, so I'll make sure to put like the times and everything, because I definitely want people to see it, and I'm going to see it myself. So I can't wait. Yeah, are there any other festivals that it's going to be playing at, or anything coming up for people that maybe aren't in Indianapolis that are listening?
Well, I mean, it's funny. We played Denver, we played Sedona, we won in Cardiff, Best Welsh Feature. I think there are a couple other festivals on our horizon, but I think we're talking to some distributors and sales agents, so hopefully it'll be available early, middle next year for Amazon, iTunes, and all the rest. Yeah.
That's great. And, of course, I'll put a link to everything in the show notes of the podcast and everything. And, well, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on the film and on all of the success that you've had and are sure to have in the future. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Doing well. I only have one microphone, so I apologize. So we'll have to share. So you guys are, let's see, can I get your names? And you're here for the Bikes of Wrath, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm...
Oh, sorry.
I'm not touching that now.
That was top 5 static shocks of all time. I'm not touching that mic.
No, don't put it near me. I won't do it.
Oh, wow. This is off to a great start.
You're the mic guy.
Yeah.
Alrighty. All right, so why don't you introduce yourselves? My name is Matt from the Obsessive Viewer podcast, by the way. It's a pleasure meeting you guys. And why don't you tell me about yourself and about the film?
Cool. My name's Cameron Ford, and
My name's Charlie Turnbull.
we're the co-directors and co-producers of The Bikes of Wrath, which is a feature-length documentary which is screening 3 times here at Heartland over the course of the next 10 days.
Nice. And The Bikes of Wrath is a very interesting story. It's now correct me if I'm wrong, because I've seen the trailer. I'm seeing the movie tomorrow. So it's about your guys, like a group of you guys and like your friends that are going from Oklahoma to California, completely on bikes, with like while filming it, while having like musical equipment too, all on bikes. It sounds like a remarkable story and a remarkable documentary, just out of how many things you have to adapt to, because it sounds like a really interesting track. Can you talk about the filming and about how it went?
Yeah, so the concept behind the film was to retrace the Dust Bowl migration route depicted in John Steinbeck's novel The Grapes of Wrath, and we decided that we'd do it on the same amount of money that the Joad family had in the book, but inflated to modern day. So we had $420 between 5 of us for 30 days to go from Sallisaw, Oklahoma to Bakersfield, California. None of us as cyclists or had really trained in any way for the journey, and I think we were kind of blissfully naive that we'd just be able to get on bikes and ride and we'd be fine. But yeah, I guess the film really speaks to the themes of the book from when it was written, almost 80 years ago now, and looking at whether those themes still exist in America today, things like migration and the American dream and the wealth gap and all the things that are kind of touched on in the book. And yeah, by going along that migration route, we get to meet people that are connected to the real migration in some way. People's parents or grandparents had, they'd all had a story to tell as we were traveling through the Dust Bowl route, and it sort of connected us with small town America through the conduit which was the book.
Wow, well, that sounds very fascinating, and of course, our eagle-eared listeners will be able to tell that you guys aren't necessarily from here. What kind of compelled you guys to do this and try to do this and to film it, and like the background of how it came to be?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one we get frequently, because it is quite strange. 5 Australians riding through the United States, retracing this iconic American novel. But I guess I've just been a huge Steinbeck fan for my whole life, and I love the Grapes of Wrath. And I read it and reread it, and then a good friend of mine who was on the trip, Leon, really enjoyed the novel too, and we spoke about how cool it would be to kind of retrace that route. And at that stage it was just a bike trip, and we were just going to go over and do it and have a good time. And then both good friends with Cameron here, and Cam's been a filmmaker for 15, 20 years now, and he decided that we should make a documentary and we should film it, and we should kind of make it more about just a bike ride and more of a kind of exploration of America today and how the country has changed since the book was written. So it started off, the seed was kind of all about adventure and just a cool trip to do with a friend, and it kind of evolved into what it is now, which is a film really about our journey, but more than that, it's about these people we meet and their thoughts and opinions on their country and how America's faring today, 70 years after the book was published.
Yeah, that sounds like... I would venture to say that you're not going to see another film like this in general. What were some of the things that you found, without really going into spoilers, of course, like what were some of the things you found along the journey, and what were some of the hardships you guys endured for it? Because I can imagine that it must have been pretty painful and pretty difficult to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have even got probably 50 miles down the road if it wasn't for the generosity of people that we met along the journey. And time again, we're down and out. I mean, not to give too much away, but I break my arm on day 7 of a 30-day trip because I'm an inexperienced rider, and I just kind of vagued out, and then I fell off the bike. And, but instantly we were in this small town, and this husband and wife veterinarian team came out of the woodwork, and they're just like, we've got you, and they took us into their home and they made us welcome and they looked after us, and they were instrumental in my journey, being able to get back on the road and keep riding. And that's just one example of how many people throughout the 30 days just kind of helped us out. And we didn't realise at the time that we were doing this thing that people were going to connect to so deeply, but I think people were pretty inspired by the journey and they wanted to be a part of that. And there was a huge openness, like a real openness between us and them, and they were part of the trip, and that was really exciting. And we're still friends with most of the people that we connected with on the route. So yeah, it's sort of lifelong friendships with a lot of the people that are the real characters and the real heart of the film. Yeah,
that's fantastic, and it's kind of in an area of the country that isn't really showcased that much. Like it kind of seems like you're giving a voice to an area of the country that just doesn't really have one in media and everything. So it's really remarkable that you guys did this. Yeah, no problem. And so is this your guys' first time at Heartland or in Indianapolis?
I was lucky enough to have a short film here in 2012, and I didn't know much about the festival, but I, on a whim, jumped on a plane, and we just had the best 10 days. And so when we'd finished Bikes of Wrath, we just instantly like, we've got to try and get it into Heartland. It's such a good fit for the film festival. Like it speaks to exactly what the film's about, and I know that it's the ethos of this festival. And we were fortunate enough to be accepted. So yeah, this is about our 8th or 9th festival this year throughout the States. But yeah, this is the one that we really wanted to get into, so it's exciting. It's great to be here. Yeah,
fantastic. That's great. And do you guys have any other festivals lined up, or has there been talk of distribution at all or anything?
Yeah, we're screening at the Banff Mountain Film Festival at the end of the month, which is a film festival in Alberta, Canada. So that's great. We're screening there 3 times actually, and that's from late October to early November. And then yeah, we've been we're not lucky, but we've done well with some distribution deals both in the US and in Australia, and so it should be broadcasting in the US in February.
I think it's it's actually a 6-part series as well as a feature length. Yeah. So there's a company in America, broadcaster, that's picked it up for the series and the feature. So what they're going to do is release the feature film, I believe, in March of 2019, and then a month later they're going to release the 6-part series, which is really exciting. So yeah.
That's remarkable. Congratulations. Yeah.
That's great.
Oh yeah. And
for people to see the full version. In both its forms, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's remarkable. I'm super excited for you guys. I'm really excited to see the film tomorrow. And let's see. I want to say 3 p.m. Yeah, I think so. Let me check. Yeah. Let's see. Yep, 3 p.m.
Awesome.
Yep, 3 p.m. at Traders Point on the west side. So, yeah, it's not here. It's at about a bunch of miles that way.
I think we're here on Wednesday.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, you're going to be in attendance on Wednesday at the screening?
Oh, we'll be at all the screenings, but I think, and go to heartland.com or whatever the website is and look at these details, but I think we're screening on Saturday, Wednesday, and the following Saturday.
Perfect. And I'll put all the links in the show notes of this episode, and I'll make sure to do that. So, well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me. It's been a pleasure. And, pleasure meeting you guys. And, again, congratulations on the film. And good luck with the rest of the festival. Yeah, no problem. All right, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Check your hang on.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that might be a little... Okay, good. All right, thanks, guys. All right, so I'm here with Paul Nethercott, director of Grateful, the Jenni Berebitsky story. Which is a short film that was at the Indie Shorts Film Festival that Heartland did in July, I believe. And it actually won the Audience Award for Indiana Spotlight, is that correct?
Yes, Audience Choice Award, Indiana Spotlight at Indie Shorts, that's correct.
Nice. Well, that's great. Congratulations on that. And, of course, you guys are screening it here at Heartland. And just reading about it, I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but just reading about it, it sounds like a really inspirational story and just a really incredible story. Jenni's story is that she was... why don't you go ahead and give us some background on the story?
Yeah, well, I had another film in Heartland Film Festival a year ago, and while I was at the festival, I met a lady named Jean. She's a retired medical doctor, and she told me about Jenni, and she said, you should think about making a film about Jenni. So shortly after that, I went to meet Jenni, and I heard her story. And her story briefly is that, she was diagnosed with ALS 9 years ago, I think 9.5 years ago, and it was devastating to her, and it really was extremely disruptive to her life. I mean, she fell apart. But she didn't stay there. She pulled herself together, found a way to keep moving forward. And so Grateful is really Jenni's, it's a hero's journey type of story. And I didn't plan that ahead of time. It emerged. But there's even a Yoda-style, guru type person that she talks about in the film. And again, I didn't plan that. It just was there, And this person really helped Jenni find the way. But Jenni's a very authentic, courageous woman who has, in spite of incredible difficulty, I mean, ALS is a terrible, terrible disease. She's almost completely paralyzed at this time. And, she's kept moving forward, and she has a sense of humor. And I think the film strength is, it's Jenni, She's just a remarkable person. She's positive and encouraging and inspiring and funny.
Well, that's fantastic. It's one of those... This is the type of film that kind of seems tailor-made for Heartland. Well, tailor-made for what Heartland's message is, and just this inspirational story of this person who is has overcome and is overcoming these incredible hardships and able to put on a strong face and have a group of people that are helping her along this way. It's just a very interesting and inspirational story, and it's also, as you said, it's kind of born out of Heartland in a sense, which is really remarkable. You guys also did a very successful Kickstarter campaign as well. Is that correct? Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I'm also a producer on Grateful. And when I think about doing a film, there's a lot of things I think about. I mean, if I don't have a good story, it's like making a good meal. If you don't start with good ingredients, forget it. You're never going to end up with a good meal if you don't start with the good basic ingredients. And so I look for those good basic ingredients, and Jenni is fabulous. And I had a sense of that the first time I met her. I also, when I met her, realized that she has a large community of family and friends that really love her and care about her and that are her supporters. I had the strong feeling that we could do a successful Kickstarter campaigns, and we did. We had tremendous support. We had 3 executive producers lined up before we even started the campaign, so we had $15,000 committed before we started. And then we reached our $25,000 goal, and then a stretch goal. So we reached about $41,000 on the Kickstarter campaign, and it didn't. and that may sound like a lot of money, but the reality is it allowed me to pay everybody something, not a lot, but I mean it gave us a budget to make the film and meet our obligations and hire people to do music and really sound and all the things it takes to make a good film and pay everybody, and I'm really thankful. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I can imagine, and that's one of the. I wouldn't say necessarily. Maybe there's a bit of a misconception among people saying like, "Oh, you got $40-some thousand." Like, oh, that's amazing. It's like that money in terms of film production, everything that can go really quick, and it's really great that you were able to to get that and use it to pay everyone that's involved and kind of have create the film that you wanted to create from that, and especially when you have something that has such a personal stake and a real like subject. It's something that I'm sure that you definitely want to do the best you can, and it sounds like you did. And kind of going back to when you were talking about Jenni's story, when you said that there's stuff that you didn't really plan or anything, what in terms of like documentary filmmaking, what are some of the, I wouldn't necessarily say struggles, but what are some of the things that come up, and how do you adapt to fit the narrative as it's unfolding in front of you?
Really good question. Really difficult question to answer. I mean, I think of a documentary. I mean, it emerges. I met producer on the film. What's it called? Icarus, the story about the drug doping, the Russian drug doping. And that documentary totally changed in the process of making it. I mean, and sometimes, when you're making a documentary, somebody gets sick, somebody dies, of an accident. I mean, the story can completely change. A scripted film, generally, you have a script and you follow the script. On the other hand, editing can change things a lot. But anyway, a documentary film is a really interesting process where like the last time I did a film shoot with Jenni, and it was really recent, we had already had a cut of the film done. And I realized we needed something more, and it completely changed the film. And it really made the film. So, it's an interesting process of interacting with the subject, with Jenni in this case, getting to know her, hearing her story, letting her tell her story, gathering photos and video footage and so on and so forth, and the story emerging, and looking for, okay, what is this, like the spine of the story? How can we tell her story in a way that, in 17 minutes that makes some sense to people and so on, and do it in an honest way. And you can do a story like this in a dishonest way, and do it in an honest way. And I've heard repeatedly people say, well, you captured Jenni, and that makes me feel really, really good, because I'm fully aware that, we could take the same footage and make Jenni look completely different.
Absolutely. And when making a documentary film such as this, like, how do you approach like editing? Is it something that, how do you approach creating the narrative? Like, are you the type of person that wants to shoot as much as you can and kind of figure it out in editing, or is it something that, like, you have a clear idea, and as things come, they just kind of it evolves as it goes?
I tend to have a pretty clear idea of. On the other hand, I mean, it emerges, because I don't know what like in this case Jenni was going to say until she said it. And on the other hand, I'd read her book, and I had some themes in mind and direction in mind from very early on, largely because of her book and because of conversations with her. But in Jenni's case, we had a complete transcript of all the footage, and I took the transcript and created a script from the transcript. And then the editor used that script to do the first cut of the film. And then I worked closely with Christina Stair, the editor. And I said to Christina, I want your opinion. I want you to tell me what you think. I don't want you to just be I don't want to just be telling you, okay, do this, don't do that. That's not the kind of relationship I want with you. And Christina had a lot of input in, structure and transitions and choosing photos and all kinds of details. And so, I definitely, I'm a team player. I don't like the idea of just telling the editor, okay, do that and do this. It's treating her like a machine almost. To me, it's just wrong. It's just not the right approach. I need everybody's expertise, and I need their input. It makes a better film.
Yeah, and filmmaking is just a collaborative medium in itself, so it's definitely important to get other people's input and, like you said, their expertise and everything. How long did you shoot for, and how many did you have? Like a lot of pre-shooting conversations and everything, or how did the shoot go?
We had 4 shoots. The first shoot was entirely high school film crew from Carmel, and I met Justin Park here a year ago in this tent. Or at least in the building here, in the theater maybe. But anyway, I met Justin a year ago here at Heartland. And so the first crew, I was the only adult on the set in the crew. And we had 3 other shoots, and I brought in other people, some. But I lost my train of thought, to be honest. What was your question again?
No problem. How did the shoot go, and how much prep? Yeah.
Yeah, so we had 4 shoots, and we shot roughly, like the first shoot, 2 hours of footage, an hour and a half probably. Jenni is relatively weak, so I knew that we just couldn't shoot a lot of footage. It wasn't going to happen, So the second shoot, we shot about an hour with the mom, with Joyce. Third shoot, again about an hour. The fourth shoot, again, about an hour. So we did not shoot a great deal of footage. And within that footage we shot, I looked for the golden nuggets. Those best, just really important things. And so it wasn't hundreds of hours of footage, which is really difficult to deal with. Yeah, really challenging to deal with that much footage. But doing a transcript was a huge help to creating a story, because you can't see all the footage at the same time, but you can look at a transcript and scan through it and get a sense of all the parts all fit together. And that's why in the credits it says written by me, because I really did write. I took the text and wrote a script and wrote the story.
That's fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about Heartland in general. What's your history with Heartland? What's your experience been with Heartland in general? This is their 27th year, and they just keep growing. It's pretty remarkable. So, can you speak to your experience with Heartland?
Yeah, well, Heartland Film Festival has been a very important part of my life since 9 years ago. My film Bicycle, and I lived and worked in Japan for 25 years. It's a film in Japanese. It's called Bicycle in English, Jitensha in Japanese, written by a Japanese young man who, I was working with at the time. And we shot it with university students. It won the Vision Award and the Best Short Film Award here, and I think it was 2009. I think it was, or 09. And that film was in Venice Film Festival in Italy, but Heartland was the first festival it was in. And I wasn't able to be here, but shortly after that I came and I met the staff, the Jeff Sparks, the founder and the director at that time, and many other people, and that I've kept in touch with ever since. And this is my Grateful is my fifth film in Heartland. And so Heartland clearly has been a very important festival to me, and to some extent frankly, Grateful was made for Heartland. And there are quite a few festivals that it wouldn't be a good fit for, but it is a really almost perfect fit for Heartland. And so, again, I just say Heartland's been an incredibly important festival for me. And the people I met a year ago at Heartland Film Festival, and I could give you a list of about 10 people, I mean, most of what I'm doing today is directly because of the people I met at Heartland a year ago.
Well, that's fantastic. And once again, congratulations on Grateful and on all your success. And Grateful is playing throughout the festival. And thank you so much for your time. And it's been a pleasure. And best of luck with the rest of the festival and everything.
And I one of the people I met a year ago was Amy Palchik. And I can't emphasize how important that meeting was hardly enough, because Amy is producer on the film, executive producer, and she is one of the most well-connected, well-liked people in town here, and she has done a fantastic job of promoting the film. And she's been involved with Heartland, for 15, 16, 17 years, something like that. So, you know, it is, our film is very closely connected with the city, with the people of the city, with Heartland Film Festival, with Amy, and of course with Jenni and her tribe, her tribe of fans. So thank you a lot, Matt. Thanks for the interview. Really good to meet you.
Thank you. Yeah, good to meet you too. Oh yeah. Well, have a good one. Thank you. Okay, and we are recording. I only have one microphone, so we'll have to share, so hope you don't mind. Yep. All right, so let's see. You're here for Hiroshima Carp Theater, a feature-length film at Heartland Film Festival. Can you introduce yourself and tell us about the film?
Sure. Our film is called Hiroshima Carp Theater, and then a film is about the Hiroshima city and their baseball team called Carp. And the Carp was made 5 years after the World War II. So when Hiroshima was having a hard time, they made this team. And then this team became hope of this city. And as they rebuilt the city, and Carp was always with them. So Hiroshima people kept it really nicely, and they tried to make it survive. And then they didn't have money. So team was always weak, but because of the many people's challenge, he made many revolution, and now it's a number one team in Japan. Yeah, so that's the kind of story behind, and also we have this modern story, which is setting is 2016, and it's a unique story. With a unique story, it kind of links to Carp's history, and then it brings to how relationship the baseball team and the Hiroshima city's miraculous story. And it's like our version of the Field of Dreams.
Okay. Nice. Well, it sounds like a very interesting story and very fascinating, really, with all the history involved with it. Can you tell us about the filmmaking process and what kind of attracted you to the subject matter and how you became attached to it, and then kind of just general stories about the filmmaking?
Okay. I grew up in Hiroshima, so the Carp was always with us. It's it's not just a baseball team. It's more like a big culture. So everyone loves Carp. Old people, when Carp lost, they pissed off and they closed the shop. When Carp wins, they go drinking. Or something like this. So we want to capture this kind of unique culture and people's emotion. So I took a lot of real story in it, and then merged together within this fictional story. So if you watch the film, you can laugh and laugh, and then it gets you to the very emotional part in the middle of the story.
Nice. Well, that's excellent. And is this your first time at Heartland? Okay, great. How's the experience been? And how do you feel about the festival itself?
So far, people are very friendly, and it's first time in Indianapolis. It's it's a beautiful city. Yeah, really enjoying it. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Congratulations on the film and for being here at Heartland. It's great to have you. I can't wait to see the film. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. And I'm gonna make sure to put a link to where people can find the film tickets and everything. So what were some of the hardships with making the film, and have you? Do you have it lined up for any other festivals or anything?
Right. About festival, we are waiting some of the reply. But this is actually first time premiere in North America. Oh, wow. Yes. So I'm very happy. And in November, we have the big festival in Hiroshima, International Film Festival, and then they already announced the award, and we got the best award.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Wow, that's fantastic. And that's you said November?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
Hiroshima, I'm sure Hiroshima people loved it because it's really about the Hiroshima and the Carp story. But when I'm writing this script, I wanted to make sure everybody can get involved. So I was co-writing with the girl who have no idea about baseball.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now this film get completed it, and then when I show it to this film to some girl who have no idea about baseball, she can enjoy it and laugh. And also I wanted to show this film to American people because it's the Hiroshima's history involved, and now it's the kind of time we can share this. It's a good story, so we can share this to American people, and we want you guys to see how Hiroshima rebuilt in a good way. It's now the time Obama came to Hiroshima, and we really respect that. And now it's very open up. It's a good time to see this kind of story.
Well, that's fantastic. That's really. It sounds like a really heartwarming experience and a very fascinating film that you have here. I'm very excited for it, and I'm sure that that acclaim at the Hiroshima International Film Festival, I'm sure that hits, pardon the pun, hits close to home because that audience is obviously very much invested in that. So it's got to feel really good to have that kind of acclaim on the film. So congratulations again. That's fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and it's been a pleasure, and best of luck with everything. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Oh my god.
All right, so I'm here with the crew from Nathan's Kingdom. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the film?
Sure. I'm Michelle Opitz. I'm the producer. I'm Madison Ford. I play Laura in the film.
I'm Olisera Munoz. I'm the writer-director of Nathan's Kingdom.
I am Jacob Lentz, and I play Nathan in Nathan's Kingdom.
Nice. The titular character. Nice. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about the film and about your experience with Heartland?
Sure. Yeah. I guess it's on to me now. So Nathan's Kingdom, it's a dark fantasy coming-of-age drama about a young autistic man struggling with his younger teenage opiate-addicted sister. And rather than surrendering their lives to social services, they actually embark on a quest to find a kingdom that once existed only in their imagination.
Wow. Yes, that sounds like a very fascinating and heartfelt movie. Like the way you described it as a coming of age. What were the actual words?
It's a dark fantasy coming of age drama. Let's just throw it all in there.
That just sounds so fascinating to me. Yeah. Like that sounds like right in my wheelhouse. So have you guys been to Heartland before? And how's the experience been with Nathan's Kingdom at Heartland?
Yeah, this is actually our Midwest premiere.
Oh, nice.
This is our first time at the Heartland Film Festival and in Indiana for all of us. And it's been a warm welcome. We're absolutely thrilled and honored to be here. And we just had our premiere yesterday, and it was beautiful. The AMC Castleton Square Theater was absolutely great. Great picture, great sound, a great moderator, and all that we can ask for in a premiere. So we're very happy to be here.
Nice. Well, congratulations.
It's been really cool for me to explore Indianapolis. Everyone I've talked to about the film, even outside the festival, has been really open to wanting to talk about it, to talk about the themes, about the implications of cinema like that. And I think it's really cool to go into a new city and be able to have those like deep conversations in a way that people really feel engaged in. And also, everyone in Indianapolis is so nice. So it's always good to be, sharing art in a place where people are kind.
Yeah. We try our best to be kind here. Yeah.
I mean, Indianapolis is awesome. And especially the audiences here, because it seems like they're very receptive to the film that we made. Our film, it deals with a lot of things in a lot of levels. And what I mean by that, it's like, it's a struggle between these siblings who, guess what? They don't get along all the time. Siblings don't get along all the time. And we focus more on that struggle, that real life, raw struggle. And people have been coming up to us and just saying like, wow, this really felt real, really felt raw, and it felt authentic. And we were captured by it, and we're still thinking about it. And it's just like we obviously we want to take audiences on a roller coaster, that's something that feels real, that touches upon things that maybe we've lived in our lives. Oh, yeah. Because I think most of us have siblings, and guess what? Absolutely. We didn't get along all the time.
Right.
But somehow, no matter how much we fight, we call each other the next day, we apologize, or we break bread together, and we start over. Oh, yeah. And I think people here at Heartland recognize that. So,
and that's another thing, kind of to tick another box of things that interest me about the film is the sibling aspect of it. Because, like, the idea of, like, having people in your life that have literally been in your life your entire life is a bond that's remarkably, like, strong and poignant and everything. So I'm sure I can't wait to see the film, I should say. Cause
I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh, yeah. It sounds absolutely amazing. There's bees here in the tent.
I love bees. I love Indianapolis.
I'm slightly mortified of bees, so if my voice gets high-pitched here.
Come here, Bee. Bee. No, this way. We love you. Stay with us. We're losing you every day. It's chasing our producer. Back, Bee, back. I need her. We need more movies. All right. Back to Nathan's Kingdom.
Back to Nathan's Kingdom.
Obsession.
So, can you talk about some of the struggles, I guess, with filmmaking, or how the shoot went, how the production went, and what brought you guys here to the Heartland?
Sure. So Nathan's Kingdom has been in the making for about 10 years now. We had investors, we had personal backers, family friends helping us make this film, and it's been a long journey. We're just grateful that it's over. We're now able to share the film, and we'd film the movie in parts. We'd shoot a little bit, run out of funds, shoot a little bit more, run out of funds. And same with post, we did it the same way, and that's why it took so long. But we did it the right way, and in many ways, I would not do it any differently, because when we first set out to make this film, people said, no, don't make this film. Don't cast a lead actor on the autism spectrum to play an autistic character, which is absurd to me. Right. And nobody wanted to take that gamble with us, so we had to do it ourselves, our way.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that, because that is something that's, I can't imagine how difficult that must have been, especially with, like, kind of having to start and stop at different points. Like, it shows that that's really a labor of love and something that's really remarkable. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Can you speak to kind of the depiction of autism and having that incorporated into the film as well?
Yeah, actually, I want Jacob to talk about that.
Hello. So, the process of getting into this film was very interesting. We, the first time I met Oliver, I wasn't actually aware that it was an audition for a film, actually. Wow. I thought it was for something else. But, I was very surprised that I was going to be able to be in a feature film, and we talked a lot about the character, and, like, we did some exercises regarding, like, different emotions and stuff. I think that the one thing that anyone can really take away from Nathan is that sort of, like, need to like transcend in a way. Like, sort of, it's like almost like he needs to find an escape from all of the difficulties in his life, and whether you find that or not, I think we can all sort of relate to the idea that there's always something more out there to find.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I think we're running a little bit low on time, so just to is Nathan's Kingdom going to be at any other festivals coming up, or yeah,
we're currently now submitting to more niche festivals that have to do with like fantasy, and also festivals that focus on autism and also disabilities as well.
Nice.
I mean, the amazing thing, I think, for a lot of viewers coming to watch Nathan's Kingdom is not only is it an amazing film that focuses on siblings and it, focuses on autism awareness, but it also takes you on a journey. There's live action, there's animation, there's amazing visual effects. Our visual effects supervisor, Alejandro Castro, has worked with Steven Spielberg on Ready Player One.
Nice.
And he's worked on The Jungle Book, which won the Academy Award for animation. And so we were lucky enough to be able to take people on a really authentic journey that looks really good.
Nice.
And the spellbinding. I could keep going about how awesome the film is. I want people to come and watch it. If you're obsessive about films and love watching films, then you need to come watch Nathan's Kingdom.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, this is going to go up on Monday. There's going to be a screening October 15th, so Monday when you're listening to this at 4:45 at Newfields, and then again Wednesday, October 17th at 12 p.m. here at Castleton. Definitely come check out Nathan's Kingdom. It sounds like it's going to be amazing.
Yes, come the cast and crew.
Absolutely.
We want to see you.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, and best of luck with the rest of the festival, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Thank you. So unfortunately, I only have one microphone, so we're going to have to share. So, yep. All right.
Good at side-eyeing who's going to talk. So.
Nice. Perfect. All right, so my name is Matt. I'm from the Obsessive Viewer podcast. It's a local podcast here in Indianapolis, And let's see, so you guys are here for Palace, which is a movie that is very high on my to-watch list at Heartland. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. Can you guys introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about Palace, hopefully without spoiling?
Yeah, totally. Like each thing, I'm trying to be careful. My name is Andrew Paul Davis, and I'm the writer, director, producer on the film.
And I'm Sarah Kogel. I'm the associate producer. And the ending of Palace is...
Great. So this movie is about, from what I gather, it's about family and how disparate members of the family can kind of come together and intertwine in this one central location in rural Indiana, as it were. Can you tell us a little bit about the plot and about how it was filmed and the connection to Indiana also?
As the film relates to the theme of family, the three main characters are not related, but they all deal with pretty estranged familial relationships, most of them by geography, exacerbated by other relational problems. But I went to college in Indiana, but I'm from South Florida, and have kind of lived this American land disparity. Families just we moved to other places, whereas I think smaller countries and places that are smaller, you're closer to your family and to your original communal network. The film, three different groups of people, but they're all in the same small town. One of them is a college student at a Christian college in town, and Indiana has a lot of kind of small town college cultural kind of centers in very random areas, like Grant County, where we filmed, which has both Indiana Wesleyan and Taylor University in real life. And the film is called Hubbard University. My own experience living in Grant was a cultural division between the college students and then the small town residents who make up the other two characters. And they are Chuck, who is around 60, prematurely retired, lives above the bar where all the characters kind of intersect. He's kind of decided to cash in and hit reset on his life because of some recent trauma with his family. And then the other character who kind of represents the blue collar corner, rural Midwest. He's an auto mechanic. His name's Chris. He's pretty politically charged, pretty far right. Is scared to associate with the very far extreme, but would probably still uphold a lot of just like pretty extreme right-wing political beliefs. So his kind of protection of small-town nostalgia, small-town white America, is very opposite of the kind of progressive underground of the Christian college, which Christian colleges are pretty stereotyped of also just being like white religious status quo. But, it's there's minorities on campus. There's minorities in these areas that feel isolated. And one of the three characters within the college group, he's from the Bahamas. At the college I went to, there was some Bahamian Americans there. And the Christian college characters are all musicians and make beats and rap, and struggle to find an audience for that in their little tiny pocket of Christian College, Indiana. But anything else about the plot? Sure, I guess.
I think you did a good job. I would just add that all this while I felt like I'm sort of the Indiana consultant. I mean, he's lived in Indiana for 5 years, but I was born and raised in Indianapolis. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of the film takes place some of the film takes place in Bloomington, and then some also in Indianapolis. So it was interesting to see different parts of Indiana as well represented in the film.
Nice. And have you guys been to Heartland before? Have you guys had any films here? And how's your experience been this year and in years past?
Sure. I was at Heartland in 2013, right when I had gotten to Indiana for college. I was in their high school shorts block. Yeah. So I came to Indiana not knowing anything about Heartland, didn't know that it was like a decent deal. Came, and it was just like a super well put on program. And that was one of my early festival experiences as a filmmaker, just coming out of high school. And since then, I've like not experienced a festival that was as like populated, well run, and just like such a vibrant and curious audience base. And when we got in again, I was like, I can't even imagine having a feature in this, because like I had like one small short and like a 1 hour block, and so many people were like asking me questions about it as if they cared. And I was like so surprised. It's like a very cool mix of like the Midwestern hospitality thing and like cinema lover thing, which I don't think a lot of people would associate Indiana with. So we just got here to the festival today. Like, this is our first thing we've come to. So we're hitting the ground running, have some stuff to go to tomorrow night, and then our premiere is Sunday.
Yeah, I've been to a few Heartland events over my tenure as an Indianapolis resident, but never, full throttle as part of it as a filmmaker. But I did go to Indie Shorts this summer, which was very great. Well put on. I was so interested to see, what it would look like, and it was really fun and a lot of great material there. So I'm thrilled to see that there's an Indie Shorts block of like the winners and this part now. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, it's been great.
Nice. Well, that's great to hear. And yeah, Heartland's been growing, and it's amazing because just as press, I just cover it and everything. So it's nice to kind of have that in my backyard, as I've said pretty much all day today. So the world premiere for Palace is, did you say tomorrow? Sunday, tonight. Okay. And that's very exciting. I'm very excited for you guys. I'm very excited to check it out. Did you have any kind of hardships filming it, or like was this your first feature film that you created, that you shot? Can you speak to that, about being a first time filmmaker?
So in college, between my sophomore year and senior year, I just went on like an independent rampage of just making shorts, and I got to a period where I had made 5 in a row in a very short period, and presented them at Taylor through a cabinet that promotes films and culture, and it was like a 90-minute thing. So coming out of that, it immediately hit me like, you got to take the leap. You got to just make a feature. and part of it, just like from a career standpoint, we're at a point where like more and more people make short films, and they're a very important part to like growing your collaborative base and growing your audience and making sure your community cares about your films and what you're trying to do. That was like very instrumental to having the support we needed for Palace to get off the ground. But yeah, I came out of that and started thinking of ideas. I forgot what the other part of that question was. Oh, hardships. Sure. You could probably speak to a couple hardships too. Everything was hard. Like it's been 16 months from like idea to now premiere. And crowdfunding was interesting because we participated in a rally called Hometown Heroes that Seed and Spark was doing, and they partnered with the Duplass brothers to find a couple films to executive produce, and the contest went like it ended up being like 72 films across America crowdfunding at the same time, competing for follower counts. So just like hit follow on my campaign, and it's basically like a subscription to our email list. So I went crazy a year ago trolling Indiana fairs, college campuses I'd never been to, Wendy's, GameStop, just trying to talk to anyone to like get them to hit follow on this campaign to get a shot at executive producing by the Duplass brothers. But we made the top 10 to be necessary to qualify for it. They ended up choosing 2 other films, one of them being an out-of-state film, The Miseducation of Bindu, which just filmed in India this summer. So we did not win that competition, but we came out of it with 2,700 followers and a successfully crowdfunded campaign. That was just like a very hard, like, selling your soul to social media and solicitation kind of thing. I'm still getting over it. But it really introduced me to the idea of you need to have an audience before you make your film, and not try to like find the people afterwards. That's part of the marketing, but you have to start like as soon as you're starting the script. Crowdfunding can be a really cool way to bring people in that process. You could speak to production, but at least for post-production, I was like pretty alone in that process. Can't really like hire out help. So it's kind of just like 5 or 6 months of trying to get peanut butter off a spoon. Just like you're trying to like fix the audio as much as you can with the resources you have. Just trying to edit a film by yourself. There's a reason why there's teams of people in Hollywood who like do specific parts. But I sent the cut to trusted colleagues and got great feedback. That was a very important part of that process. And we had issues with our first DCP we sent to Heartland. I had to correct those a couple weeks ago, and so I hope it plays okay. It's kind of like not having that budget benefit of being able to test your DCP. But yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Everyone let us know if you think it's good. Right. As for during production, I would say that just the entire experience of making a first feature film was both hard and inspiring. Just being able to see all that Andrew did and also what I did on my part, just like all the locations, every sort of legal release that we had to handle, making sure that, talent releases were signed, location releases, a litany of things. Sometimes you don't get something signed and then you have to digitally send it to them and then make sure that they send it back to you. So I think I watch, not to be cheesy, but I think when I watch feature films since being a part of one, I have a lot more respect for the inner workings and the process. And just, the thousands of steps that it takes to get it to where it is now. So, nothing super stands out as hard except for just all the small steps, but it's worth it.
Nice. Well, congratulations to you both on the film and for, everything. And I'm super excited to see the movie, and I'm sure that the premiere is going to go perfectly. Yeah, I've got my fingers crossed for you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and can't wait for the film. Well, my name's Matt, and I'm from the Obsessive Viewer podcast. It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for sitting with me and chatting with me about all the stuff that you have going on. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about the films that you have here at Heartland this year?
Sure. So my name is Doug Blush. I've been doing documentary film for 30 years now, probably ever since I got out of school. And it's come to the point now where I have tricky times sometimes saying what I do, but I started as a sound engineer, moved into cinematography, and I was a DP for years. And then as the editing revolution came in with Final Cut and all the digital tools, I became more and more of an editor, and then really stayed with editing for a long time, still do. I'm still known a lot as an editor. I've done some pretty big films as an editor. But in the last probably 5 years, I've kind of moved into producing. And it's not the usual, like, keeping a spreadsheet and doling out money kind of producing. It's more what they call now creative producing, which is handling all those elements that need somebody who's been through it, somebody who knows the world out there of the festivals and the distributors, and also can make creative decisions on the film and help the crew to bring in the right people and to get the job done. So that's everything, and including directing. I always mention directing last because I direct when I have to, I direct when I need to, but it's not actually my favorite thing. You know, I've directed or co-directed 5 films now, and I don't consider that the most important thing I do. I do it sometimes, and I'm planning to direct again, but really it's creative producing and editing that I think are the most valuable things. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I feel like producing specifically is something that can be kind of overlooked because it kind of seems like producer is kind of a catch-all of like putting out fires all across every stage of the filmmaking process. So it's something that I really admire because without a good producer, you know, a whole production could just kind of fall apart. So it's interesting to meet someone who thrives in that arena. So you've got 4 films here. You were the producer on Mr. Soul, which was the opening night film last night, and then you also have Phil's Camino, which I definitely want to talk to you about that because it's a very interesting and sounds like a very emotionally driven kind of story. Can you speak to that and kind of run down the plot of Phil's Camino?
Absolutely. Well, Phil's Camino is one of those amazing films that comes out of a lucky circumstance where the director, Annie O'Neill, and I had been friends because we took our dogs to the same dog park all the time. And we got to be really close, just bonding over our puppies. And conversation would strike up about what each of us was doing, and I was doing a lot of documentaries at the time, and she had been the star or the co-star of a documentary called Walking the Camino. She's actually a Camino traveler on the Camino de Santiago in northern Spain, which is known around the world as one of the great quests, as one of the great pilgrimages that people make. And so she had been in that film. She had a great story, but she had met somebody who absolutely blew her away in terms of a story to tell. And she realized she had to make that story as well. And that was Phil Volker, who lives on an island just off of Seattle, Vashon Island, and had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which is not a good thing, you know, and it is really a difficult thing to deal with. But Phil is a really unique guy in that he took that as a sign that he needed to get his priorities just where they should be. And he'd always wanted to walk the Camino de Santiago, but he couldn't now because he had this going on. So I won't say too much because I don't want to ruin the surprises in the film. Sure. But Phil essentially decided to make his own personal Camino. He decided to go on a journey that would get him through the things he was facing. And I think people are so brought into that because everybody faces something, and a lot of people face this specific problem. When you're faced with this, what do you do? What do you fold up and just check out, or do you really get engaged with life? And the answer in our film, I think, will make a lot of people happy. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. And it sounds like just a really inspirational story itself. Kind of to talk a little bit in broad terms about documentary filmmaking, like you said that you've been in the business for upwards of 30 years now. What is it that attracts you to documentary filmmaking as opposed to like narrative features or narrative filmmaking, or like what's the pull for documentaries?
well, can I say not the money? No. That's weirdly enough, that's not as true anymore because we're making a fine living doing documentaries, and I only do documentary films. People have approached me with narrative films to edit and to help produce, and I will do some of that sometimes. But I for the most part, documentary is so thrilling right now. There's so much going on. You see the explosion going on with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, and Apple's coming out with stuff, as well as HBO and Showtime and all these. There's so many places to go now. PBS has stepped their game up way up, and all the stuff on PBS is great. 2 major shows and a lot of other programs that are showing docs. So it's a golden time to be sure. But when I started really moving to doc is because I love doc. I was inspired by docs in film school. I went to film school thinking, like most people, that you'd be the next Spielberg and you'd direct big Hollywood movies. But I discovered how much I loved documentary while I was in film school, and I could feel the shift already happening even while I was still in film school. And I did work in narrative fiction film for years. I actually, weirdly enough, got on as different forms of camera and also as a behind-the-scenes documentarian. Oh, wow. So I did those HBO behind-the-scenes documentaries on things like Independence Day and Titanic and Dante's Peak, and these were big 90s films, so I got to see that kind of filmmaking. And the thing that really got to me was I was having more fun documenting them than I would have had making the film itself. And I think that's part of the clue that documentary was really what I wanted to do. I know we have a special guest here at Heartland, Galen Hurd. I worked with Galen Hurd for years.
Oh, yeah?
On Galen Hurd films, yeah. So it's going to be fun seeing her again, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it's funny because I don't know if this is what is specifically you were referring to, but the Independence Day HBO First Look, that's one of the... I'm 32 now, so when that came out, I was a kid, and I remember seeing that First Look thing, and that was one of the first times where I was like, oh, this is how films are made. This is how they did that. And it's it was just kind of mind-blowing to me. So yeah, it's just I have an appreciation for that kind of thing too. When you said that you were kind of feeling that shift toward documentary filmmaking, is there any one documentary or one documentarian that you see as the defining this is what caused me to want to do documentary film?
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, it's 2 things. One is a film which I hope everybody sees. It's kind of one of those bucket list films that if you haven't seen it, see it, and if you have, see it again. It's called Sherman's March, and it's a film by Ross McElwee, who's now a professor at Harvard and is considered one of the greats of documentary of the late 20th century. But it's a story of this guy who is given a grant by the government to go make a film about Sherman's March to the Sea. It's like a Civil War film for PBS. And what he does with the money, instead of making some sober movie about history, he goes and basically has romantic adventures all over the deep South and visits ex-girlfriends and old pals and his ex-teacher and all these wonderful characters. And he actually spends half the movie worrying that he's not doing the film he should be doing, but the results are so wonderfully hilarious, and they're also very touching because he's concerned about the future of the world, he's concerned about nuclear war, all these things, and the movie is so much better than it would have been if he'd made the film he was supposed to make. It's considered a total classic of documentary now. It's an epic journey of a guy trying to get his romantic life in shape and also figure his whole situation out. And it inspired me because documentary at that point was, well, here is the albatross of the Northern Territories, and look at it laying its eggs. And nobody really wanted to get that deep into it. There have been great docs before. I was a huge fan of the Maisels and Frederick Wiseman and those great filmmakers, but that film really shook things loose and made the personal journey much more acceptable in documentary. And I took a lot of inspiration for that. So I always looked for humor in docs. I always looked for strange stories. And now you have NPR radio shows that are storytelling. Oh, yeah. And documentary turned towards storytelling at that point. And I've always really pushed for that. I've always looked for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. I haven't seen that. What was it called again?
It's called Sherman's March. It's available around.
Okay.
It's considered a doc classic. Mm-hmm. A lot of festivals. The other thing that happened, when I was at USC Film School, I started dating a documentary filmmaker, and she taught me so much about the real world that we were so desperately trying to not make with the fantastical films. And I said, wow, reality is a lot more interesting than our fictions that we seem to be making. So I think she turned my head, and we're still friends, and she's an amazing filmmaker, and I think that was the turning point too. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And so, going back to kind of what's showing here at Heartland, what are all the movies that you're showing in addition to Mr. Soul and Phil's Camino?
Yeah, besides those two, we also have a film called Hillbilly, which is a documentary about the truth about Appalachia and the people who are a lot of times derisively called hillbillies. And it's fascinating because it really opens your eyes about why there have been so many misunderstandings about the culture, why there's this stigma, and the abuses that section of the country went through the years from surprising places. And it also, obviously, it touches on the recent election. It touches on, this idea of this candidate's country versus that candidate's country. Right. And it comes out with a much better understanding of maybe who we are all as a people and how we can maybe bridge those gaps. And it's been doing really well everywhere we've shown it, and we're really excited to bring it here because I know it'll talk to some issues of this part of the country, and it's very enriching film. I mean, it's funny and it's unexpected, and people come out of it just with a different understanding of something they thought they maybe knew but didn't really. Yeah.
And see, that's the kind of documentary that I gravitate towards, is like shedding a light on another culture that I'm not familiar with, is like something that's just really speaks to my interest, because I mean, I'm a podcaster in Indianapolis. I don't have like the knowledge base that I would like, and that's where documentaries kind of really come in and shine. So I'm excited to check that out. And then you also have one other one here.
There's another one that I consulted on called United Skates, which is it's almost exactly the opposite side of the country, an opposite situation. It's about the history and the joy of African American roller skating and roller skating smackdowns and challenges, and also the situation where these places, these roller rinks, are beginning to disappear. Okay. And the fact that these community centers, especially for the African American community, are starting to become rarer and rarer. And it focuses in specifically on one place in South Central Los Angeles, which is a community center, and the challenges of keeping it going, and a young mother's struggle with her children to keep a place that matters to them going. It's really, really a great film. It did very well at a lot of festivals. We opened it up at Tribeca, and it's now going to be on HBO at some point fairly soon. Oh, that's fantastic. But it's really a special story. It's one of those things. Again, you'll come out of it feeling like you've learned something really new.
That's awesome. I'm very excited to check that one out as well. And kind of wind things down, how do you feel about Heartland, and how's Heartland been, the experience? And I forget, have you been here before? Okay, yes. And just how do you feel about Heartland in general?
Well, I asked actually the staff last night to reach back into history, and I think I've had films here since at least 2011. Oh, wow. And almost every year. I haven't come every year just because it's we're always working on new films. Yeah. But the last couple of years I have made it here. My wife and I had a film that we produced and directed together called The S Word here last year, and we both came on different weekends because we had our daughter to take care of. But I love Heartland. I love the spirit here. A big shout out to Greg Sorvig, who does such a great job with this festival, and his programming choices I think are inclusive and wide and really smart. And there's a real spirit here. It's like I'm from Detroit, Michigan, so coming here is basically coming home for me. Right. And I have friends in Indy. I love the fall climate here. It reminds me of what it's like to have fall, which we don't have in Los Angeles. We just have fires, And at this point, I put it on my sort of must-do if I can list of festivals. It's one of my favorite in the country. And so many great films come here, and so many people launch their careers here, too. A lot of people start here. So that combined with a really good craft beer maker, I think that's pretty much what I need in a festival. And it's a terrific place, and I will come back as many times as I can.
Nice. Well, we're definitely happy to have you here in Indianapolis, and I echo all that. Heartland's amazing. I've been covering it for the past 4 years, I guess. It's so welcoming and so great. And you talked about like Greg and the curating of all the films and everything, and like how it's all inclusive. Like this year, like 50% of the films have been were directed by women, which I think is just phenomenal. It's incredible.
Yeah, huge change that's going on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very exciting. Well, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on all the films and everything. And I hope you have a great rest of the festival. And can't wait to see your work. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Come on out to the festival, everybody.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, my name's Matt. I'm from the Obsessive Viewer podcast, which is a local podcast from here in Indianapolis. So I've already forgotten your names. I'm so sorry. It's been a long day already. Okay. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit about Saints Rest and about the film.
Sure. Hi, Matt. My name is Noga Ashkenazi. I'm a filmmaker. I directed Saints Rest and co-wrote it with Tyson Stock. Saints Rest is a musical drama about two sisters who haven't seen each other since their mother passed away several years ago, and they find an opportunity to reconnect over the course of a summer in a small town in Iowa called Grinnell. Saints Rest is the name of the coffee shop where one of the sister works at. And so this coffee shop actually exists. We all went to college in this small town in Iowa. So it's this magical place where local music is being performed. And we really fell in love with it and wanted to capture the spirit of this small town and of this coffee shop. So it's really an intimate drama about sisters' relationship and, small town versus big city, lots of themes about what home means to them. And of course, it involves a lot of gorgeous original music that was written for the film, musically directed by Brian Kavanaugh Strong, who's right here next to me. So anything you guys want to add? Oh, introduce yourself.
I'm Brian Kavanaugh Strong. I'm the music director of Saints Rest. Noga spoke a lot to what the piece is about. The role of music in the film is, in ways, the way the music functions in a classical musical where a character is singing a song that reflects how they feel. What I like about the role of music in this film is that the characters themselves are curious about music in their lives. One of their protagonists, named Joni, wrote songs when she was a young person, and I think as she's grown up, music has kind of fallen away from the center of her life and her passions. And so I like how the music in the film represents her reconnecting with her past.
And I'm Tyson Stock. I'm the co-writer. They've pretty much summed up the movie pretty well. I guess I would just add one thing is that the three of us went to college together, and so we ended up filming the movie in the town that we went to college, Grinnell, Iowa. And the title of the film, Saints Rest, comes from the local coffee shop that everyone around the town goes to and loves, and that they play original music there frequently. So that was sort of the initial genesis of the idea of the film 5 years ago.
Did you guys have any trouble, like, locking down filming locations, or were they very receptive to the idea of having, in particular Saints Rest, having a movie named after them set at the place? Like, did you have any struggles with that, or how was the film, the production itself, how did that go?
Great question. We were very lucky because it really takes a village, as they say. This whole town, this whole community of Grinnell, Iowa, came to help us make this film together. We couldn't have done it without them. From the locations, like you mentioned, people volunteering their spaces, letting us shut down streets and businesses, coffee shop, to having actual community members come and be extras in the film for free, volunteering their time, to businesses volunteering catering services, and all the way to the college itself letting us use the dorms for housing for a month and a half, which is huge, as you know, for a small independent film. To receive such support that translates into financial support as well. So we really had all the help we could get from this town, and we're very lucky.
Yeah, it's been going around here all day. That's incredible. Like when you said that they offered the dorms, I was like, oh, you guys shot in the dorm. It's like, no, housing. That's That's insane. Like, that is incredible. And it speaks to, just how welcoming that community must have been for you guys. That's really fantastic. What was the inspiration for the story, and how did it come about? Because I haven't been able to see it yet, but from the sound of it, sounds like it deals with some very kind of emotionally charged things, while also balancing that with music and everything. So how did the plot and the story come together, and what was the inspiration?
Well, Noga's pointing to me to answer, although I think she would be better to answer this. But so I think there were a couple crossroads of different things. I grew up in a small town very similar to Grinnell, Iowa, and there was always music in my life, and I think we liked the idea of characters playing songs, but more for themselves than necessarily for an audience or a way to get famous. So we wanted to showcase how there's a lot of creative arts and creativity in small towns, even if it doesn't have the same ambition that you might typically see in the movies. And then I'll pass on to Noga to talk more about the relationship of the sisters.
Sure. I have a twin sister, and our relationship is very different from the one depicted in the film, but I've dealt with loss of a parent, and I felt like that was a story that was personal to me and I wanted to tell. And I'm originally from Tel Aviv, Israel, so I'm not an American filmmaker. And part of the storyline of Saints Rest has to do with an Israeli character making a choice whether to stay in the States and marry her American partner or move back home, and what home means to her. I think the sisters are also struggling with the same question of what does it mean to stay in Grinnell, Iowa, and give up some career aspirations you may only be able to achieve in a big city. So a lot of the themes in the film are very personal to me and to, I think, Tyson, and so that's where the inspiration came from.
That's very interesting. I'm very excited to see it. And judging from what I could gather online and everything, is that you guys have been going through the festival circuit for a while now. How has the experience been, kind of going from different festivals? And have you been to Heartland before for any other films or anything?
We've had a great experience at film festivals so far, and we hope to continue traveling with the film for a while. We premiered in March at the River Run International Film Festival in North Carolina, and we won the audience award there, which was really exciting. We are super excited to be here in Indiana. From here on, we continue to DC and Minneapolis, and have been doing the Midwest, Chicago, Iowa. Yeah, we've just been really lucky to have such a warm reception by audiences, and we've heard so many great things about Heartland. I've never been here, but I've been wanting to come here. So, we're excited to be here.
Well, welcome to Indianapolis, and and best of luck with the film and everything. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to see it at some point during the run. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. Perfect. Is there... you already said film festivals coming up and everything. You guys have just gotten here, so you guys haven't really experienced that. What's on the docket for you for the festival, I guess, would be my next question.
So unfortunately, we're only here for 24 hours or less. Yeah, a really quick stop for us, but we are excited to meet and mingle with filmmakers and meet the festival staff and programmers, and we're going to be screening at the AMC tonight. So we're just excited to experience the vibe of Heartland and hope people come and enjoy the film.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, and hopefully you guys have a great time here, a great 24 hours in Heartland, and a great festival run for the rest of the film. So, pleasure meeting you guys. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. You too. All right. Well, I'm from the Obsessive Viewer podcast, and how's it going? You're here for Spare Room, which looks, I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but it looks really, really interesting to me and really fascinating. Can you speak about the film and kind of introduce yourself and everything?
Sure. My name is James Portalease. I produce Spare Room. it's about a soldier in Afghanistan who loses his best friend, and it's his fault that he lost his best friend. So he goes back to Middle America to find the widow, his wife, and kind of explain what happened in battle. When he gets there, the widow has a young brother who has Down syndrome, and the soldier and the boy become really good friends, and he finds himself being attracted to this woman now, and so now he doesn't want to tell her really what happened, and it's kind of a complicated love story dealing with PTSD. So she's dealing with PTSD because she lost her husband, and he's dealing with it because he lost his best friend, and how they kind of come together and deal with their pain together is, it's pretty moving.
Yeah, they Heartland. They showed the preview of that at the opening night party, and it looks like kind of a raw, emotional kind of film that's showcases a lot of different types of, like you said, PTSD, just attraction and how people can kind of come together, and it looks like it's a really phenomenal film that's really at home here in Heartland.
The writer is from Chicago, and I'm from South Bend. I went to IU, and I went to school with the writer, and so she kind of set it to give it a Midwestern feel. And even though we shot it in LA, we found this kind of small town called Piru, which looks like, Brown County, Indiana, just like this small kind of town, and no palm trees, just made it look really authentic. And that was the main thing, just to make it feel like this world is really real. That's what we really tried to do. So,
well, that's fantastic. Can you speak about the filmmaking process and how the film came together?
Yeah, I mean, Laura wrote the script and sent it to me, and she said, what do you think about it? And she lives in Chicago, and I loved it. And I'm like, whatever you need, I'll do it. And she's like, my family's going to fund the movie. My family's going to pay for it. And I was like, I want to talk to them. I want to tell them how big the risk is before they write any checks, because it's a there's no guarantees, and they were all, they believed in it, and I let them know that, I don't see any money until they get their money back, so I'm going to work just as hard, to get their money back. And so we were, it was rare, because it was the rare time that you read a script and like, oh yeah, and it's financed, because that never ever happens. So, but the hard part was it was $300,000. So, and with that, the most days I could schedule was 10 days. So we shot the movie in 10 days with an Afghanistan war flashback, which if it had been anybody but my friend, we'd be talking about the Afghanistan flashback instead of showing the Afghanistan flashback. Remember the war, but like I wanted to find a way to show it, and we did. So, but it was, people were getting less than they're usually getting paid, and so we only worked like 11-hour days, because I didn't want to kill the crew, So people really believed in it, and it seemed to work. We got a great cast, and Billy Bob Thornton did the music for the movie for free. Amazing. Just it was one of those things where that all just kind of comes together, and but we're really proud of it.
That's incredible, and also just the inclusion of a flashback sequence like that. Like, it sounds like it would really, really inform the narrative in a very distinctive way, and it's really fascinating and really admirable that you guys stuck to that, and you went with that as opposed to just talking about it in dialogue.
There's always a way to do it. So when so that this set, it's this, there's Afghan caves, and there's a whole Iraqi town, and there's army barracks, and there's military vehicles, and every show on CBS shoots there every week, and this is a $25,000 a day location. But you call them like, hey, can we come in on Sunday? The location is $4,000. So there's always ways to get it done. And, the director, Jenni, she's just a force of nature, and actors will follow her into battle. Like, she just has this power. And Mary Vernew, our casting director, she just did A Star Is Born. So, she did the latest Star Wars, and, she did, just all these gigantic movies. And So she got us this incredible cast, and we all just kind of pulled the resources that we could to make it happen. So,
well, that's fantastic. Congratulations on that. And have you been to Heartland before? Is this how is your experience been?
I had a film here in 2014 called All Stars with John Goodman and Fred Willard and Angela Kinsey from The Office, and it was a comedy about 8-year-old girls softball with the crazy parents in the stands. So it was like a mockumentary with these insane parents, and played really well here. We had great crowds. So this was when we were getting ready to do our festival run. I told my team, I'm like, if we can premiere in Heartland, that would be great. And so tonight's our world premiere. So it worked out perfectly. So
nice.
Really excited to be back, and my parents are coming tomorrow to the screening from South Bend. So it's great.
That's fantastic. That's great. And Heartland is obviously, I've been covering it for the last several years. And it's a really great place, and it's nice to have something like this in my backyard.
I just went to get my ticket, and they're like, "Oh, we're sorry, your screening tonight's sold out." And I'm like, I produce. I can't come to. I just flew in a red eye, and they're like, "No, a producer can just to hear that the film is sold out. We just arrived here, and they've done such a great job, spreading the word." And
absolutely.
I mean, that's unheard of. I've been to festivals where I won't name the festival, but it was myself and the director and 2 people in the screening room.
Oh wow!
And I was like, no offense, but I don't need to see my movie again. I've seen my movie. This is for the community to come and see. And I knew we wouldn't have that here because it's always great crowds and great, they know how to market it and back it and stuff. It's great.
Oh yeah, and they've grown it into something just massive. So it's really great to be able to have conversations with filmmakers like yourself. It's really amazing to me. Do you have any other festivals in the pipeline for our listeners who aren't?
We're going to New Filmmakers LA next week, and then we go to Savannah in Georgia for a week, and then we go to Napa the next week. So these next 4 weeks are just zigzagging across the country. But we're really proud to premiere it here, to have our world premiere here. So.
Well, that's fantastic. I can't wait to see the film, and congratulations on everything, and yeah, no problem. And take care. Yeah. Hey guys, just cutting in here. Those were the recordings from the press junket from Friday. The one for Nathan's Kingdom was actually from today, from Sunday the 14th. So we got a lot of recording done over the course of this weekend. So I've decided to split this up into 2 episodes. Now, you've already heard everything from the first press junket that I did, and then I'm going to kind of wind down this episode with mine and Kyrsten's review of The Bikes of Wrath, who you heard me interview the filmmakers about an hour and a half ago in the recording. So we're going to go into mine and Kyrsten's review of The Bikes of Wrath, and then there should be an additional episode of The Obsessive Viewer posting very soon after this one. That will be all of the recordings from the second press junket that I did, as well as mine and Kyrsten's short review of the documentary Crime and Punishment. So thank you so much to the filmmakers and to Heartland for setting up the press junkets for me and everything, and thank you for the filmmakers for talking to me. And also thank you to Tony Troxel from Geeking in Indiana, who he loaned me one of his recorders to do the field recording on. So it's been a huge help, and I greatly appreciate that. So here is mine and Kyrsten's review of The Bikes of Wrath. Thank you, and enjoy. And Kyrsten, did you have a chance to look through the guidebook or anything?
I flipped through it.
Okay. Any films stand out or anything?
Radium Girls.
Yes.
That was one that I just thought I really wanted to see.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see that too. And we were supposed to see it today, but they actually sold out.
That's one of the huge Wikipedia holes I fell down one time.
Oh yeah.
It's there's so much that is so just fucked up about that whole the whole story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw the trailer for the movie at the opening night party, and ever since seeing that, I really wanted to see it. Now, Kyrsten, we just saw The Bikes of Wrath. What did you think of it?
It was so good.
Right?
It was really good. It was beautiful and poignant.
Mm-hmm.
I've never read The Grapes of Wrath. I was supposed to in high school, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So I,
such a rebel.
Going, and I didn't even have a cause. Going into it, I wasn't like super well. I mean, I knew generally it was about people during, leaving the Dust Bowl and everything, but I didn't really know, specifically what it was about, but it was a really great movie that did a good job of putting into perspective how trying the journey would have been for those people. And how much it has affected their descendants even today, living in poverty, how, something like that is so difficult to escape even generations down.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just the story of, as you heard in the recording, the story is just these 5 Australian guys that are,
they dropped themselves in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. And they're retracing the route that the characters in The Grapes of Wrath took out of the Dust Bowl with the same amount of money adjusted for inflation,
right,
as they started out with. And this documentary just shows the whole
the depth of human kindness.
Yes, the depth of human kindness, and just how people can just be completely hospitable and so friendly to just complete strangers.
They had people who were giving them all free meals, who were putting them up, in their own homes. They had people who were giving them money. It was really great. And part of me wonders, would they have been so generous if these people weren't making a documentary?
Right.
But part of me wants to think, yes, they would be.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And part of it speaks to kind of the, it kind of not sheds light on the stereotype, but it kind of washes away the stereotype of just, middle America, kind of like rural America as being
ignorant farmers, and,
and bigoted farmers, and stuff, like that kind of archetype.
They definitely reflected back that they made a great parallel between what the Okies when they showed up in California and modern day immigrants in the United States.
Absolutely.
They definitely paralleled that very well.
Oh yeah, and it said it included a lot of information about the Dust Bowl and everything as well, which I wasn't too familiar with. I thought that was really interesting.
And it was beautifully shot. The footage that they obtained on their trip was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
They just shot it all themselves while they were biking. It was really I'm really glad that we saw that movie. It was beautiful.
Oh yeah. And the filmmakers were in attendance, and they just seemed like super down to earth guys that are really really friendly and cool. So.
Oh, and they took questions afterwards. I was able to ask a question.
Yes.
So they started the trip with $420 for the 5 of them. And their plan was they were going to busk. They all had instruments. They were going to busk for money. And they ended up not having to do that as much as they thought they were going to, because so many people were donating and giving them free meals. But I asked them, how much money did they have at the end of the trip? And $25. Even with people donating hundreds of dollars, giving them free meals and lodging, they still if people hadn't been so generous as they were,
would not have been able to.
They wouldn't have made it.
Oh yeah,
they absolutely, because they were traveling light. They were, eating canned goods, and I mean, they were bare essentials. They were camping outside when they didn't have a free place to stay. They weren't splurging on anything. They sold their trailers, they sold their instruments partway through the trip. And it's just, it's amazing that they, after all of that, they only had $25 left.
Absolutely. And there are shots of just shots intercut throughout the film where it just shows them literally just sleeping in the grass by the highway.
Yeah, they would sleep behind dumpsters at night. They would throw down a tarp if they didn't have a place to pitch their tent. It was they were really just
really committed to it.
Yeah.
And it's such an admirable feat that they went through that.
Yeah.
And the way it's documented in the film is just really really engaging and interesting, and
it looks so hard.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just that I mean, it almost feels insurmountable. Like I
Absolutely.
couldn't have done it. You know.
I like about 15 minutes into it. I turned to you and I was like, that looks exhausting.
Yeah.
Like-
One thing that I thought was really interesting was when they, at the end of the movie, they showed like they had taken before shots of their own legs.
Yes.
And then they showed after shots. And it was like the difference in how tan and how dirty their legs were from cycling for 30 days. Yeah. It was amazing, the difference.
Oh yeah. And like the issues that the pieces of adversity that they faced just in the general, bicycling adventure, was really intense. Like, and like, I was like wondering, I won't give anything away, but like about 20 minutes into the movie, I was like, is this going to turn into a different documentary about like, oh, they gave up and something else happened? Because I'm sitting there thinking like already things have happened that I'm like, I would be like, okay, I'm going back to Australia, guys.
I love the bit where they cut it together perfectly. Where they were before they left for the trip, they were like, well, if one of us can't go on, I don't think the rest of us would go on. I think we would, we would wait. We want to stay together as a group. And they immediately cut to, well, so the four of us are going to leave in the morning, and then you can catch up with us later.
Right.
I was like, that's just, I think they went into it with very idealistic expectations of what the trip was going to be. I think they thought it was going to be difficult. Yeah.
Oh,
but I think that there was a little bit like they said they had like, the image in their mind of like idealistic middle America, and then the reality of it was very different from, what they expected going in.
And they also had, very minimal cycling experience themselves.
I expected that they were going to be like guys who bike all the time, but they were like, we don't really bike. And I'm like, how did you do that? That's like us getting up and just biking. Like, that's insane. That's crazy.
It's funny
I would have died.
Surprise for your birthdays. Anyway.
No. Hard pass.
So that's the Bikes of Wrath. I was very, taken with and very impressed with it, and the filmmakers are really cool. So I'm glad that I got a chance to talk to them, and I'm glad that we got a chance to see it. All right, and that's going to do it for this first episode, first Heartland episode of Obsessive Viewer for Heartland 2018. Stay tuned for our next episode. Is going to have more filmmaker interviews, as well as a review of Crime and Punishment featuring me and Kyrsten. The review, not the documentary. All right, well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Now we're recording.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Baby.
She's just a little baby.
No, everything else is normal. Just the word baby. Yeah. She's just a little baby. She looked over at us like, "Are you serious right now?"
Why are you saying one of my names? Because she thinks it's her name.
Yeah.
Pizza, make the dreams come true? No? Okay.
She didn't even look at you.
She didn't.
No, Dad, I'm gonna take a shit.
I'm gonna go ahead and take a shit.
Stick it up real good.
This is what I think about you having Kyrsten over.
All right, well, let's not watch your cat poop. Let's.
Yeah, that's true. It's not Thursday. The implication is that I watched my cat poop.
I get the implication. I didn't laugh because I didn't think it was a joke.
It's
so let's do this.
Wait till you find
I'm sleepy.
Tumblr. Okay, yeah. So okay.
Did you say wait till you find my Tumblr?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I need to leave as soon as possible.
Oh, God. Okay, 10 seconds of silence for the ambient noise.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews means it'll be easier for people to find the show in the highly competitive film and TV podcast genre. It also provides us with valuable feedback on the show. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a one-time PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate or become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for recurring donations with different reward tiers. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, notebooks, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can also buy other great TeePublic designs in our store, and we'll get a small commission on the sale. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlight from their EP, Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlightmusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. We love to hear from you guys. You can contact us by emailing podcast@obsessiveviewer.com or by tweeting us at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at IamMikeWhite. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, where you can take part in discussions and polls between episodes. For more podcast content, check out Anthology, Matt's solo podcast, where he's reviewing The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer and exploring other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows. You can find Anthology at anthologypod.com and anywhere podcasts are found. For book lovers, you can check out our sister site at obsessivebooknerd.com for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the app of your choice. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.